Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And to continue our discussion, kind of, and obviously it's a new video, so you can feel free to jump in at any time during, my videos. It will be probably the correct time for you. So, with all that mystery out of the way, um, I kind of talked about chaos magic and Wicca and what's being presented to us as magic really isn't magic. And so I titled my last video Pop Magic. When you look up some definitions online, Google, to find, I decided after watching a couple videos on chaos magic, because I was kind of curious once again with chaos magic. I was watching some videos on the Scarlet Witch. Like when you type in a search for, what types of magic are there? What's the difference between a witch and a wizard? All kinds of stuff happens, from D&D role playing characters and rules to comic books to movies, and so it's really interesting. I kind of think if I was an alien and I was visiting Earth, would I be able to tell the difference between actual history and fiction? Uh, would I just assume all these characters that are comic books were real people at some point? And so it kind of can get a little bit confusing, and then it can kind of get pretty real. Where is that borderline between myth, legend, fiction, story, imagination, dreams, and reality? It can get blurred. And in that blurriness, I would say, is like a nexus where, you know, you could come up and summons a Lovecraftian uh, eldritch god. It could become a part of this reality. And that's like advanced reality warping magic. But it can also happen in very smaller ways, like a new creative idea. Um, I actually was going through some old household products and I was like, what alternative healing properties does this have? Could I use this for? Um, and I actually found one for myself. I'm not announcing it because I don't want, the world to go into a new, how like during COVID, everyone freaked out and bought all this toilet paper and we had a toilet paper shortage, or or people started stealing quarters, or hoarding quarters because they thought quarters were somehow going to save the world. Uh, Same with my little quick fix remedy, um, that reduced my healing and inflammation in half and made it manageable. So if you have a lot of like skin allergies and conditions, I would say look at some alternative uses of some other household products that you could use. You might find some for yourself. But anyways, being creative, being ingenious, experiment. Okay, let's kind of move more into this video. Because in the last video, and I was just kind of wrapping it up, what you think is magic, what everyone is selling as magic, I consider as all pop culture. And pop culture is pretty vast. It's everything from fiction to what is mass consumed and mass acceptable. So that could be pieces of news, that could be a novel, that could be a record, that could be music. Um, you know, whatever fashion trend is in or out. It could be snippets of history that we all subscribe to or don't subscribe to. It could be a morality thing. We're now all against this. Oh, we're now all for that. Or we're now promoting this. We're not promoting that. And so pop culture includes trends. It actually includes bias, uh, things that we, and then it's inclusive. It can be exclusive, but it's kind of like what's happening now. So it kind of has a forever beat to it. And you can pull from past, present, and future. You can pull from different genres. Um, you know, you can pull from comedy. You can pull from cartoons, and you can slap it all together and make pop art. You can slap it all together and make pop magic. And so when we look at all the books, being sold on magic and all the modern teachers, I now classify that into an actual system called pop. Its old name, kind of, or branch, is New Age. Its other old name, Wicca. Its even older name, uh, I call paganism. So it can be a little chaotic. It can be juxtaposed. It can be asymmetrical. There's an allowance there. And so, why not rename chaos magic? Because it really had nothing to do with evil. It really, in a weird way, when you look at the definition of chaos, it's not disorganized. Um, and it's not breaking things down to the smallest particle that everything comes from. So, what chaos wizards are practicing doesn't really apply to the definition of chaos as science, but it totally applies to pop culture. If you want to be anarchist, if you want to rage against the machine, if you have teen angst, if you want to hex, if you want to build your own god form, you know, take a few elements from He-Man and Scarlet Witch and your favorite Pokemon, slap them together and create an entity and worship it named Cheesecake, you can do that. And your servitor god form Cheesecake can protect your house and your family and sling blueberries at your enemies and poison them. That's all okay. And so I think, yeah, now that we know how it is pop magic and everything being kind of like pop magic, and then we also stressed in the last video about how you need to have a filter. Now we're going to go into something really important, fundamental. Before you get into, we think, like you open up a magic book and it talks about summoning spirits, or you go to a magical teacher who boasts of being able to actually contact a demon or an element and have spiritual forces working for them. Before you get into what the sorcery of magic, you might want to have a few basics, kick, punch, chop, under your belt. Like, so when we look at all the superstition, the fear, I need to have a ward, my neighbors are bothering me, how do I hex so and so? How do I protect myself? Oh, I have cords, I don't trust so and so. How do I just go into discernment? How do I cleanse? All these problems that I would say people who've been in the craft for a very long time, all these problems happen uh, because they were attracted to all these outer things like books, teachers, how to summon spirits, cool robe, um, and they forgot the most important part, themselves. So let's look a little bit at our culture where the average person, the workforce, you are discardable. You are a paper cup that can be used so many times until it doesn't work and then you're thrown away, you know, to never be seen again, put in a landfill. Like literally, humans are disposable and we'll just make more. We make paper money, we'll just make more babies, and we'll just cycle this over and over and over again. And you are not important. So, which leads to a dystopian society and a self deprecating Western society. Modern culture is very self deprecating. And when you're taking that out on someone else, it looks like hate, it looks like war, it looks like toxicity, it looks like differences, it looks like polarization and me and my rights and you and I'm against you and repulsion and avoidance and problems. Well, as a witch, as a wizard, as an energy worker, whatever you'd like to call yourself, or the direction that you're going, you might want to clear that out of the way. This is like the fundamentals of magic. So, magic is being sold to help you bypass the accountability, the responsibility, your natural ability to respond to stresses and change as a human being, responsibility, accountability, um, ignorance, ignoring the elephant in the room, ignoring your shadow, ignoring your actual feelings, your actual thoughts, your actual truth, your actual identity, accountability. Spiritual bypassing allows you to ignore, not do cleanup work, not take reasonable action for like religion. I really blame a lot on religion, okay? It's an easy target, you know. Uh, the true creator of evil, the one who has been uh, helping people spiritual bypass through the centuries with a prayer, a splash of water, a formation of a cross, a building, a beautiful robe, a sermon, a book full of weird words. It's magic of spiritual bypassing. Blaming the devil, blaming your neighbors. Really, you just had an illness and it took a little science to cure that dis-ease or whatever, okay? We blame our children, we blame our parents. So this whole like stand up for your rights, be an advocate looks like a lot of screaming and shouting and blaming, thinking that something's going to get done. And like good parents, we tune it out. We ignore it. We don't account for the actual issues. We don't get to resolve. We don't get to cooperation. We don't even deal with compromise. We fight. We have to win. So we see that like in our culture, in our shows, in our movies, we're really kind of polarized, black and white, yes and no. You're wrong, I'm right. So uh reason has gone out the window. Accountability out the window, and reasonable action, responsibility out the window. When it's so much easier, we built a whole system of law based on not taking accountability and putting that on someone else and making them be responsible and making them have a punishment and a consequence. It was all make believe, so we create the punishment, we create the rules, the laws, and here we go, playing the game of life. Okay, Is there a way out? Yes. And so we go to magic. However, no one ever thought that we can't sell magic, offer it to others the same way we do religion, the same way we do a business plan package of 5 videos, some DVDs, a couple workshops, a workbook, and your certification wizard, your certification mystery school, occultist, kabbalist mastery program. You know, so magic can't exactly be formally taught in a Harry Potter setting, even though I went to a magical school and a mystery school. So where when do you become authentic? When do you stop being blinded by the glamour? And and this could happen even so, okay, you're not a wizard, you're a mystic, and you're working with chakras, and you're really into some other culture's process of self realization, their yoga, their Hinduism, their is any of that bad? No. Or you move over into Tibetan mystical arts, or you're into Shintoism and Zen. That's cool, or you're into like folk wisdom and folklore and folk magic. That's cool. This is happening anywhere and everywhere. We get into all this really cool stuff, all this learning, all this talk, all this education, all this thinking, and we throw ourselves out. There's this mass assumption that being born, you're ignorant, that you must be taught. You must learn information and become, when in reality, that's very backwards. You are born, but you have a sense of knowing and understanding already built into this thing we eventually come to understand as self. And so it's kind of wrong to approach educating children as if they don't know. Yeah, you might be learning English because that's what we speak here on this planet, you know, so you might have to learn to language, but the knowledge is there in you. You are the knowledge. You are the wisdom. You are the power. You don't know how many lifetimes, how many other forms that you may have taken. There's so much about you that's not being acknowledged. And just because you find yourself in this moment, you find yourself working with a body in a body, or you're working with this body, this life form thing called human, and you're going through this experience, doesn't mean that's exactly what you are. And so this kind of like dusting off this attitude of you don't know who you are, you're limited, and you're worthless. You're a product of your family, you're a product of your genes, you're a product of the program, the narrative that the masses are in. This time, like, that's a lot of limitation, it's a lot of description, it's a lot of assumption, an unconscious agreeing, falling prey to others when you are it. So I really like the little story called Acres of Diamonds, where someone finds like acres of diamonds and was talking about it, and then this farmer hears about it, so then he sells all his land to go look for acres of diamonds. And the land that he sold, that he was living on the whole time, turned out to be that next acre of diamonds. So here you are going to look for magic, going to look for spiritual wisdom, going to look for a connection with the gods and the goddesses, going out to look for problem solving, whatever it is, emotions, you want a relationship, you want to feel all these things that you want. That's being, do magic, spiritually bypass, manipulate, conjure spirits, use universal forces, learn these words from this other culture. You go out to do that, and it was with you all along, is what I'm saying. So you're not a paper cup. You're not discardable. You're not worthless. And when you start to realize that, then you step in to yourself, into your life. You start to step into your body. You start to reclaim and claim the authority to write your own life, the authority to see the world through your own eyes. You start to honor your thoughts, your feelings, and you start to honor the connection you have with the outer world. And you start to see what a blessing and a gift it is to have the experience of being you. So why talk to an angel when that wisdom is within you? Why seek a psychic when that knowledge is within? Why seek a doctor when it's within? Why seek the relationship when it is within? Why try to escape when that escape door is within? You are it all along. Now, this thinking part of our brain that belongs to the avatar of the body, that belongs to this time, space situation, is like one layer of ways to process information. Eventually that layer can't format. It can only go so far. So the program has limits. Your thinking model brain has limits, has a limited bandwidth. It's only designed to handle so much. So this is where people really go wrong with magic and spirituality, self-realization. This thing called intuition is a broader bandwidth, a more nuanced way of I'd call mentaling it. And so people are always trying to bring it down to rational, logical, five sensory, earth plane material. You're going to get a lot of information, and so, but you won't get all of it. You won't be able to explain all of it. And so then you're left with, you have to experience it for yourself. And then you're left with faith, these vague words, these arbitrary words like love, faith, trust, hope, future, other side. We get into this like mystical, fluffy language that gets tossed right out of the Western thinking model that we're on, that algorithm. Okay, if you want to call it an algorithm, you can do that. But that information is there. Those truths are there. They just may not fit the format. So the information kind of comes in garbled or unusable. So your operating system, through the experience of you and through whatever process you choose, So it's all going to happen anyways. This is a thing that you guys need to know. The alchemy of you, the transformation of you, the Kundalini awakening of you, all of this happens automatically. Just let go. If you can learn to not get overly involved in your project, if you can. So, artists sometimes get overly involved in their art and then they mess up their artwork. Teachers, so you can get overly involved in raising your kids and ruin your kids. You can get overly involved in your healing process and cause problems. You can get overly involved in your magic. So, a lot of people, when they say, when you do your sigil, burn it, put it away somewhere, don't think about it, forget about it, let it go. And this is one way to not get so overly involved. You're messing up the magic. You're the one who wanted it, you're the one who thinks you need to do it all, and you're overdoing it. You're overworking your relationships, you're overworking with it. So relax. So, instead of saying trust, faith, love, hope, let's transform that into relax. Let it flow. Work with the universe. And magic can be a very pleasant thing. So it looks like we're getting up to that 30-minute mark where my phone cuts out. So let's kind of try to wrap this up. Look at all the ways you abandon yourself. Oh, wouldn't it be cool to learn that? Oh, I'd love to channel Lucifer. That ritual, this grimoire, that spell, that robe, that teacher, this label, that brand, all this doing, the moon phase, that herb, that process. It looks so cool. I'm so into it. And we get so involved, so willing to throw ourselves away. We throw our intuition away. We throw our selfhood away. So Aleister Crowley, he said, before you pick up the sword, put on your crown. A crown symbolizes nobility. It also symbolizes birthright. It symbolizes bloodlines and heritage, and literally the crown chakra, your connection to spirit. So all kings and queens and royal bloodlines were connected to the gods. And the gods are the powers that be, and the powers that be are the forces of the universe. So even the king is subject to the forces. And when you know that, when you are a servant to the forces, then you can serve. Then you have the strength to wield the sword. Then you have the ability to grasp it with your hand. You can pick up Excalibur. It's like this divine go ahead. And so when you connect to yourself, when you start honoring yourself, caring about you, valuing you, seeing the wonder that you are, the joy. So this is the positive side. I mean, yeah, we've already all overindulged in self-deprecation. So we need to also rebalance that with the approval, the valuing, the honoring of self. And isn't that what it was kind of all about? To feel good? Well, if you feel good about yourself and you realized you are a diamond and you are royal, you're going to start seeing life differently, and your value system might get an update and your needs might get an update, and you might move into this new space of non-doing. You might move into this new space of actually making the law of attraction work by being attracted to yourself, by having values. You're going to naturally start to pick up that momentum. So you might have to start it with a few positive words, a little effort there, maybe a birthday party, for yourself. You might have to start rewarding yourself. And then pretty soon, you've done a course correction. And now you can access this other part of the bandwidth of being a whole human being and embracing all of you, the good, the bad, the ugly, that which will die, that which is immortal. And so, why was this so important? Because as a wizard, you work with your willpower. Not so much I want and I need this and I desire it, but this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm after. This is what I'm going to accomplish. And I know myself so well, so of course I am. I see the unlimited potential within me. So the word I can do it. I am enough. I have the power, He-Man. I have the power to accomplish that which I desire. To create my life, to build my Camelot, to feel good about myself, to go get groceries. Like let's bring it down to earth, to pay my bills, to go get groceries, to provide for myself, to take care of me in a balanced way. And you'll find a lot of your conflicts just naturally go. I don't need to ward off, protect, battle it out with others when I'm actually sitting in my own divinity, in my own wonder of me. And how can I truly express that? How could anyone deny me my right? Why everyone's up in arms about all these different rights? You can sit quietly knowing how far you've come on your journey. You were with you all along. No one knows your struggles, your ups and downs. No one can truly understand your feelings. No one knows your destiny as much as you. So when you celebrate you, you honor you, it then opens up the channel. Higher beings honor, enjoy, express themselves. They know who they are. They're mighty beings. They're basically all in golden auras. If you can't glow up, if you can't get golden yourself, mirror, mirror on the wall, you can't interact with those forces in a meaningful way. So, you are the power. This is what's missing in your magic. Know this first